Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a wonderful environment to start this youth summit, and I think I should really thank and praise the Verweij team. You've done a wonderful job. It looked grand, and even with COVID spacing, this looks absolutely brilliant. So congratulations, very, very well done. So we're here today to discuss the state of the world, which is a grand title for a discussion on paving the way for the next generation. But as has already been said, we have a grand person among us. And this, of course, is Professor Mohammed Yunus, who has paved the way for many generations in the past and for many generations in the future. And it's my great honor to be with you, Professor Yunus, and it's a great pleasure to seeing you again after quite a long time. And let me remind myself, and perhaps also you, that it's only just a year ago that we were standing here in this very same room where we discussed the future, where we even discussed the upcoming pandemic, and that we were hoping that it would just be like a few months before everything will be over. But, as we all know, it took us a bit longer, and we're not through it yet. So, if you allow me, Professor Yunus, to just kick off with the first question and making the bridge to this COVID situation. It's been quite a year, and all of us have gone through it in our own personal manner, and a few of us have already referred to it. But I was just wondering, what has it done for you the past year? What did COVID do to you, and how did your world, or perhaps your view on the world, perhaps alter your vision? And how do you think we will get out of this soon? To you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, Harry. And I'm delighted to be with you again after 1 year. Sorry that in between you couldn't see each other physically and we didn't meet. But in the meantime, we have gone through lots of experiences. And we'll be very happy to share with all the participants in this business summit organized by Verweij University. It's a wonderful occasion to get together and see where we are. You asked me about what did I see during the pandemic? What is my feeling about it? I'll put it this way. I saw many ugly aspects of human being during this period. Seeing that how things went wrong, we became very selfish. I think the word selfishness would be the big feature describing the pandemic. First, we saw as soon as the pandemic came, we all got busy with our own people everywhere. There was no kind of global initiative to fight a global enemy. Pandemic was a global enemy. The response came in a very, very sectarian way, very local way, a very selfish way. Each government was trying to help their own people. Probably they were puzzled, or whatever it is. There was no global effort to make a coordinated initiative to address that. On top of it, whatever global institution we built in the past to address such a situation, the WHO, World Health Organization, instead of rallying around it, we attacked it. One country particularly attacked in a very, very ferocious way. Not only they attacked it, they launched investigation against it right at the moment when we needed the leadership. Even if your leadership is a little not unwise at any moment, not capable anymore, but during the crisis period, you rally around, make it wise, make it strong, and so on. You don't question it at that moment, but that's what we did. And other countries just watched and didn't participate in it. And in the end, the country, United States, withdrew from its membership from WHO. When it needed all the support, they first drew the funds, then they would do the membership itself. So that's a kind of counter to the real thing that should have been done. To make a long story short, we became again. Now we are accusing the global initiative on the vaccine part. The most popular one that we talk about is the vaccine appetite. That instead of here being a global initiative to save people, because repeatedly it mentioned that if I cannot protect you, I cannot protect myself. So that's the theme, that I have to protect you, even in order to protect myself. That's not how it happened. We are so busy protecting myself rather than worrying about you in a policy. Every government is trying to protect their own people. They didn't have any time to look around what happens to other people. So apartheid continues and still is not resolved. At the same time, to look at the vaccine companies. Vaccine companies found this a great opportunity to make huge amount of profit. So we are faced with a situation where profit versus life became very important subject. So companies gave profit as the priority rather than the life. I said we are describing this pandemic as a situation where billions of people are drowning in their life. They needed to be saved. Some companies who came out with boats and telling around that highest bidder will get the boat. So here is a good opportunity to make money. So that's another ugly part of human being that we saw during the pandemic. So this is just a quick description. And all the world is trying to go back to the world that we left behind before the pandemic, pre-pandemic situation. The economy is stopped. Pandemic has stopped the economic machine. So that everybody, every leader, every business leader, every political leader is trying to push back the economy into its pre-pandemic situation. So, and I keep asking, why going back? The decision should be not going back. That world was a terrible world. So we shouldn't even try to go back. We should be thankful to the pandemic that it stopped the machine. Now we have a great opportunity, which will never be repeated in the many generations after us. We are the only lucky one to have this opportunity. We found a machine stop. We can turn around this machine to take us to a different world, because the previous world was a suicidal world. A previous path that we are taking was a suicidal path. So this is an opportunity to take a path in a different way. So this is my reactions that I wanted to share with you.
As always, Professor Yunus, that's very comprehensive, and I think you touched upon so many points that in itself, would require a full discussion. And I would just wanted to take out one point, and if I may, I would like to make the link to the previous speaker, Mostafiz Oudin, who just spoke about resilience. And two elements in his point was, you talked about greed and the big companies, which of course is all very concerning. But in terms of resilience of the population, in terms of individual resilience, the energy and the things of never give up, how do you feel that has perhaps inspired people and individuals to perhaps start, paving the way to a new future, perhaps start paving the way to a new avenues of building back better, as they always say? How do you look at that from that perspective of the individual resilience during the pandemic?
Well, resilience is good. There's the ultimate left for the human being to struggle by himself and herself. There's no other help is coming by, so you're on your own. That's resilience. I'm saying, what about the rest? We created the rest of this infrastructure to save people, do things in a better way, to help people, to bring their creative capacity to build a better life. What about those things? So I will not just come to the final stage when everything failed. Resilience is the only thing you are left with. I said resilience is good, but resilience can be multiplied by proper policy and so on, so that you can do much better than what by yourself alone could have done it. So that's the policy of the government, policy of economic theories, and the policies that have been promoted by all our previous thinking in businesses and so on. What about that? Why do I have to, when finally everything failed, I'm the only one left in the planet to fight for myself? That's not a good thing to have. That's a bad message that we have to fall back on our own survival technique because nobody else is coming around. I said, we have elaborated things in the past. to saying that we are all preparing it to save you, to protect you. When the time came, you abandoned them. And you say you are on your own in the resilience. So I will not go to the resilience part. I said, why did we fail? That's why I said, no, going back. We don't want to do the same thing over again. Exactly. So we want to build things because we have come to a stage where you're left alone on the shore, that you are by yourself. That's not a good picture that I want to have in our mind. We said we know how to get it, and we get it done. And we get it done with your participation, not abandoning you, with your participation, so that you can build things in a much faster way, in a better way. We facilitate you. We are behind you. That the whole system, world system, is behind you. That's what I'm pointing at.
So building back better sometimes is always also seen as a kind of a reset of the world. Then we can actually take a step back and see how we start rebuilding towards a new world. And would you feel that social enterprises, social businesses would play a particular role in this? And if so, how do you think that this energy of social business could actually help building back better, help resetting to a new future?
So on the point of, again, reset is just giving the image that I was giving, that economy has stopped. So suppose there's a stop, it's frozen. Reset means it has been now defrosted and it's back again as it was. That's a reset. It's a word relevant to software kind of things. So during your running of the software, with lots of different instructions coming into it, it gets confused or it gets some noise accumulated into it. So you turn it off completely. Start all over again. And that's the reset. When you put the reset button, everything stops. You start from the beginning. So that's it. But the software remains the same. Software didn't change anything. Simply in between, there was all the noises. Sometimes you cut it off, so they start again. I'm talking about not reset. I said, no, not going back. Reset is going back in full steam. I'm saying, don't even touch that software. That software was designed in the wrong way. Build a new software. Build a completely new thing, this was done in a wrong way. And the net result, everybody will agree with that net result. That net result of that software, that economic policy, economic theory, economic concept, that which we generated is a global warming. That's the net result. And it made the human being as the most endangered species on this planet right now. And that's not it, that we should go back. And that's where the government's coming with the bailout packages, stimulus packages, and all kinds of things in terms of billions of dollars. Each government has those packages already done, waiting to be poured in. Some billions and some multi-trillion dollars waiting to go back. I said, why are you pouring this to go back to that suicidal path? I said, use this resource is already available. Yeah. Use it to build a new path to take us away from this. Global warming, wealth concentration, and massive unemployment through artificial intelligence, all these are already there. It's a suicidal path. We shouldn't go to the suicidal path. That's my point. And social business, social entrepreneurship, and so these are the important issues. And when I use the word social entrepreneurship, I get a little bit uncomfortable with the word social entrepreneurship, because social entrepreneurship is something to move from 100% profit to 99% profit, for example. Then you become social entrepreneur. Suppose. So that's not a big difference between 100% and 99%. You're not saying that, no, we are moving from 100% profit to 99% social, 1% profit. You don't define that. So that's a kind of a slippery concept. I don't want to get trapped into that. So that's why I used the word social business, where it's very clean, zero profit, no profit at all. So you have no room for confusion. It's 100% social. When you come to 100% social, zero profit, then you become social business. But once you are undefined, you kind of slippery path, the term used generally is social entrepreneurship. So that can be moving back and forth anyway. So I don't want to trust that slippery path.
Thank you. For me, when you mentioned, let's say, reset has to do with software, with rewiring, basically, right? So,
Yeah.
so just a complete renewal of systems to a certain extent. For me, social businesses are intimately linked to that type of an approach. And if I was just wondering, because I'm not a businessman, I'm just a civil servant, and we look to things from a different perspective usually. I was wondering, so for a businessman, for a social businessman, looking at his or her challenges and, in these difficult times, how to make the next step on the very individual business level, what would be your advice? How would you feel that these creative ideas that come out of this group can actually be put to serve that rewiring and this reset of the software in the world?
Yeah. I'm not again using the word reset. It's designing a new software. This old software, no matter what you do, still you're in the same loop. You'll go into the same loop and do the same thing. So I'm saying that it's time to build a new software to take us a completely different way. It's almost opposite way. Whatever they have done, we have to undo everything. Like if they have done massive global warming, we want to create a world of zero global warming, net zero carbon emission. That's the world that we're in. With this software, you cannot get to that. This software is good at creating more carbon. So they are not used to reducing carbon or something. So you need a different one. This software is good at creating wealth concentration, taking wealth away from people, far, far away from people. So it's a distancing wealth from the people. That's the expertise of the existing software. I'm talking about bringing wealth and people together. So they should overlap, complete overlap. And that's a new software. So which is done in a reverse way, not the usual way, which is distancing and further distancing. This is bringing closer and closer. Ultimate goal is to bring wealth and people together. And then is the economy. This is not an economy. This is a misuse of the word economy because it's doing just a counter objective and so on. And the other one, the present system, present software is creating the massive unemployment because of replacing human being with this artificial intelligence. We are creating a new software to take us create a new world, which is 100% employment. So that's the kind of thing. So these are the two different things. On the social business side, it's not just as a business. It's of course it's a business, but it comes from more fundamental thing. It's redefining a human being. So existing software is built on defining human being as someone who is driven by self-interest. You see, they put the whole self-interest right at the beginning, at the core of the whole thing. So that's why you become selfish, because you are defined as a selfish person. Human being and selfishness is 100% overlap. There is no difference. It's defined by self-interest. I said that's absolutely wrong definition of human being. Human being at least is made of two interests. One, self-interest. I'm not ignoring it. It's all there. So the question is how much? Then the other one is a collective interest. That's also part of human being. The human being that I'm looking for is a human being, a mixture of self-interest and collective interest. So in that world, in that human being, as a human being with these two different interests, you can create two kinds of business. One, to serve the self-interest, making maximization of profit and all that. So you create profit-making businesses because it serves your self-interest. I'm not against that, but I'm saying at the same time, you have the capacity to do a collective interest. That's a business where you don't want to make money because your entire objective is to solve the collective problems. And total attention is there. So it's a zero profit businesses. So anybody can create both kinds of businesses. I'm not saying that you are wrong, that you're doing self-interest business. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're not even aware that other thing exists in you. I'm making you aware. I'm giving you option. Current economic system doesn't give you option. You are only thing, if you're a business, you have to make tons of money. Otherwise, you're not a successful business. I said, that's wrong. You can also have business of other kind where you don't want to make business, but you're a very successful businessman because you solve problems as a businessman, which is not interested in social business. So that's where it's a fundamental of human being. And then you expose yourself, you translate yourself, how you define yourself in your work and so on. Well, how much of this social business will be, how much would be personal profit business will be, it's up to you. So that's where your real character comes up. Whether you will be 99% profit-making business, 1% social business, or the other way, 99% social business, 1% profit-making. But these are two separate businesses. That's the point I bring when I talk about social business.
I was. This is very interesting, and I think the whole room is really, very quiet and trying to absorb everything that you've been saying. And I think we need to ponder on this still a bit longer, because it's very, it's a kind of a world vision that that you need to absorb, right? And I was just wondering, when you are in let's say, working in a certain economic space, for instance, in Bangladesh or in whatever country in the world. What would you expect for governments? How would governments need to accommodate, or perhaps even the international institutions, to help accommodate such a, let's say, transformation, as it were, on a global scale, in order, to pave that way to the future, to make a new type of economy and to solve problems in a new way? How would you feel that that role of government should be defined?
Yeah. You see, again, pandemic has brought it up very, very clearly. As millions of people walking home from their workplaces in big cities in India and Bangladesh, they have lost because their factories are closed down, or the businesses they were running on the roadside, there's all closed down, or the little shop that they closed down. Little work they used to do as your safe keeper, gatekeeper, and your cleaner, your cooks, and they all lost their job because there's nobody there. So they are going home because they're going to survive anyway. And then the question is, why are they going home? Because we created a wrong economy which is based on city, because everybody has to come to the city. The simple question to be asked, why didn't we design economy where people can find survival level livelihood right where they were born? Is it that impossible? I said, I don't see any impossibility, because you are bringing all these people out of the villages and concentrate in the city and get them into the slums and bring all the raw materials from the rural areas, all the agricultural produce, forest produce, and then kind of process it and then send it back to the rural areas as consumer goods. So you brought everything from the rural areas. Why don't you leave them alone? Keep them there. The people will be there. The raw materials will be there. Just simply have your processing industry right there. You used to say, oh, there's no electricity, there is no communication, there's no telephone. Now everything is there. So what is the excuse? So that people can walk from their home to the factory or whatever they're working, rather than being condemned to live in the slums and so on, make their life endangered by that. So this is one part, that the designing problem, that you didn't think about it, how it could be done. So the question is, economy has to be rebuilt. What the government role is trying to solve people's problem by giving them money. Like, you're hungry, government comes up with money so that you can buy your food and so on. For emergencies, I understand. For a national policy forever, I don't understand. And instead of feeding them every day, why don't you help them to become entrepreneurs? If you give them the money, like the Grameen Bank, like all the microcredit is doing, provide them the financial services, they would be different. Why don't you have financial institutions built up, or force the conventional financial businesses, which are concentrating only on the rich people? So design your policies, redesign your policies. Your policy has created all this problem. If you had created the right kind of financing institution, I can bet you everybody will be entrepreneur. They have the capacity. Don't say that no, people are not capable of doing the entrepreneurship. All these millions of women in Bangladesh, illiterate women to begin with, they took this little money from the bank, Grameen Bank or other NGOs. They turned themselves into entrepreneurs. So if even illiterate women can become entrepreneur, anybody in the world can become entrepreneur. And these are not just few people in one corner. It's globally all over Bangladesh, and every single family, every single village is touched by it. So why don't you promote that? Why don't you, instead of creating, for example, a law, the present banking law is a law to create bank for the rich. So that's why they go and start them. Why don't you create another law? Create a law for bank for the poor and make it social business bank, so that whoever is setting that up is not coming to make money out of the poor people. That has to be disconnected. The moment you disconnect it, then these banks, social business microcredit banks, they will be going there to help people to transform themselves. Then you take the young people. Young people can become entrepreneurs. That's what we are trying to create, the venture capital fund. We said, you go ahead, you come with your business idea, we become your partner. We invest in your business. So we work together. And there are thousands and thousands of young people are getting those investments and become partners with us and creating their own businesses. And they say, we said you can grow as big as you want. Money is not your problem. Just come up with ideas how to make it happen. And these are all policies. So why don't the government take policies like that and make sure that the policies are appropriate for people to help to unleash their own energy rather than being at the, for example, now government say we are creating jobs for you. I said that's the wrong policy. Why are you creating jobs for them? Why didn't you create opportunity for entrepreneurs? Who wants to be a servant of somebody to be dictated by somebody else? So I'm created as a human being, as a free human being. I want to do things in my own way, but provided you create the financial system so that I can make a start. So that's because finance is the oxygen of entrepreneurship. If you deny that oxygen, nobody's entrepreneur. So everybody is a kind of empty shell of a human being to be used by somebody who needs to use the body as a kind of robot kind of thing. So I said, and the job is actually a mechanism to rob you from your entrepreneurship, rob you from your creativity. You surrender your creativity before you sign up for a job because you say, I take orders from today. I don't have any mind of my own. So that's a life. That's not the right life for the people. Those are the things that we have to redesign, recalculate, and so on.
So glad to note, Professor Yunus, that your enthusiasm and the inspiration that you, I'm sure, had when you started your journey with Grameen Bank and all, let's say, your ideas on the development, on social business, and on, of course, loans that would have actually helped the poor get out of poverty and start working and be entrepreneurial on all levels of society. I think that has been an inspiration to so many all over the world, and it continues to be. And this inspiration, lives on, and it's just as strong as it must have been years ago. So thanks for that. I was just wondering, what would be your just basically down-to-earth advice to someone here in the room who has this business on, waste management or, transportation, travel, online shops. There is all these kinds of businesses that are popping up. What would be your crucial advice to them to continue that and to not give up and to really move on and make it a success?
Well, I'll repeat what I said earlier. The no going back, first one. Let's all decide, whatever you are doing, no going back. We don't want to add to the global warming again and make it an unlivable planet. If we are doing it, let's forget it. Let's move on. Get out of it. Because we must realize that the house is burning. And in this house, which is a burning house, the global house, the burning house, but inside the house, we are having a big party, enjoying our life, enjoying our business, enjoying our prosperity, enjoying GDP growth and all kinds of things, forgetting that the house is burning. So let's not forget, let's get out and make sure house is, first of all, house is not under fire. We stop the fire for the house. So this first responsibility and do that. And then you create the business. Of course, I salute you for doing the businesses of all the kinds that you're doing. Again, the range of businesses, I don't know what range of business. One is specifically 100% profit-making businesses. And I said, according to my interpretation of human being, you are just doing the thing that you're supposed to do. But at the same time, there's other aspect I'm trying to remind you, in case you are missing it out, is a social business. The business to solve problems. With your ability, with your creative power, with your business skill, you can create beautiful social businesses to solve the problem of water, solve the problem of unemployment, solve the problem of healthcare, solve the problem of sanitation, healthcare, and name it. Any problem that comes across you, you can create a business to solve it. So I invite you to do that. Many of you are already involved in social businesses. They can explain, I'm sure during the summit, they must have explained all the social businesses they do. This is just a preliminary one. And it should encourage others to do, oh, I can do much better than that. This is nothing. I can do much better in very precise way. And that's the excitement of doing social business. It encourages everybody else to do it and make sure I can play a role in solving the problem of the society, not just in my neighborhood. If I can solve the problem in my neighborhood, that solution is applicable for the whole world. So I'm actually solving the global problem, because the least of global problem and the least of a neighborhood problem is the same. Just may have a little variation, terminology or use of the word and so on. Basically the same. So if I can handle this in my neighborhood, I have shown a way. I have developed a seed which can be planted anywhere in the world now and solve the problem that we have. So this is what I would say. And we have tremendous amount of capability. That's what all those businesses show, that yes, we have capability, but that capability can be now extended to solve the global problem by designing things which is needed to be done.
Personally, I feel that that the pandemic has also given opportunities to tap in all that creativity and the talent that is all abound. And I think there have been so many new things popping up in the world that we did not anticipate before. And on all levels, we've been, working on in a new situation. We've been able to adapt to new situations. And for me, the hope of the pandemic is that we've all been able to adapt to new situations if we are forced to do so. We don't even have to be forced to do so. I think even more important is we are, self-start in terms of, creating the world around us. And I think that is what I feel we should really try to strive for. And social businesses and social entrepreneurship in itself is, of course, the inspiration to change the world around you. And as you were saying, whether you do it in your neighborhood, among your friends, or in your country, or the worldwide, I think that's where we actually should move towards. So, Professor Yunus, as maybe in a sort of a conclusion and concluding moment, if you take this all together, what do you think for the Youth Summit? What would be your motto for those who participate? What should be in the back of their minds always when they discuss among each other the future and of social business and the new path for the next generation? What should be in the back of their minds?
Well, thank you. Well, the way I would say that the young people are the lucky ones, although many of the teenagers are marching on the street, calling themselves Fridays for Future, accusing their parents and the older generation that they are totally irresponsible, creating a world which has stolen the future of the young generation. So they are in between the teenagers and the older generation. These are the young generation that we have. The one description of the young generation that pops into my head is they are the most fortunate generation, most lucky generation in the world, because they are the most powerful generation in the human history. So that's one thing that they can take very without any controversy, that they're most powerful generation in human history. Not because they are smarter than other generation. They are not. They're just like any other generation. But the lucky thing for them, they have access to tremendous amount of powerful technology in their hand, which no other generation ever had. So that is their chance. That they made them extremely, extremely powerful. Once they realize that they are powerful, they are lucky ones. They should be asking themselves, and I invite them to ask themselves, what am I going to use this power for? I have the power, but I can use it. But what purpose? That looking for purpose is the most important thing for the young generation. This is the purpose I'm going to use this energy and the creativity for. First of all, if you don't use this power, it will be wasted. Power doesn't stay. It disappears. It will disappear. So before it disappears, you have a chance to use it in this maximum capacity, so that you first decide where you want to put it. That will be the most important thing to do. And the second thing I will remind them that imagination is a big power. So I will invite them to imagine. Imagine as big as they can. as ridiculous as it can be, because imagination doesn't have any boundary. It doesn't cost you, it doesn't have any boundary. That's amazing capacity. So imagine, and particularly imagine the world that you would like to see or you would like to create. You are the creator of the world. So why don't you imagine that world that you want to create? You don't have to create it, but just don't think that you're imposing any responsibility on yourself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just imagine. That imagination has a power of its own. The fact that you imagine it, something interesting happens. If you imagine, it happens. If you don't imagine, it never happens. So that's the power. And you imagine that thing, and then when you want to do something about it, start very small as you can get. Don't get fooled by imagination that you created. That's fine. But start always with a small thing. Always remember, 1,000-mile journey begins with one baby step. That's where the whole step begins. So you make that baby step and ready to fail. Don't expect that your baby step will let you run. No, it will let you go down. You stand up again, take another try and another try. And then finally you make the first step. And once you make the first step, look around, you have done it. Then you take the second step. Now you're on the way to the 1,000-mile journey. Nobody can stop you anymore. So this is the process that you have to go through. And that's what the young people should be doing. And they are at a lucky time because their minds are not polluted yet by the old system and old way of thinking, old way of thinking, old way of designing things, old way of doing things has created all the mess for us. So sooner or later, you'll get absorbed into that. Your mind will be corrupted in believing in all those things. Before it gets corrupted, you are still have a fresh mind. You can think of your own. While you have your own mind, you can still untainted mind. Make sure you use it for seeing things in your own way. Don't get kind of contaminated by the ideas of the older generation. Older generation will not be able to give you any right advice because they are steeped into the older ideas and older things. So you have to see things in your way, stand on your way, and because you are making a complete departure from the old style things of doing. And that needs a lot of courage and a lot of stamina to make it happen. But you have the capacity to do that. And congratulations for you.
Well, thank you. What can I add to this? This is I couldn't agree more. An imagination, and you know my wife Aki, who is so often remind myself to imagine a world that is different from today and to work towards that. And it all is part of dreaming. And it sounds a bit of a soft thing, but imagination is the strongest power that you have to make to change your life and to change the world. And so, Professor Yunus, I think we've come to the end of this part of the opening session of the summit. We've talked about COVID, about resilience, imagination, building back better, hope for social enterprise, the new normal, and to act socially, I would say. And I think social entrepreneurs, all of you, you are the change agents. You are going to change the world. You are full of idealism and determination that you should put into practice. And what is most important for me is you're not alone. You are all together. It's a worldwide network that could actually be used, and you should use it whenever you get a chance. And so you must change the world together, not alone. Do it together. And as they say, we rise by lifting up others. Professor Yunus, many, many thanks to you from all your friends here in the room and from all your friends all over the world. We thank you so very much for being our inspiration and for being our support and our resource person. I think that is true for all three elements. So thank you very much. A big hand for Professor Yunus.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Aki. We're sorry to let you go because we hear that you'll be leaving us soon. Maybe you will not be here physically, but I'm sure virtually you should be with us again next year and in between. Thank you.
Anytime, anywhere. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great to have you with us.